Welcome to the Zach and Sully podcast. My name is Sully. I'm over here in Lee, Massachusetts. Joining me is Zach DaCosta from Columbus, Ohio. One of his last few weeks here in Columbus. Zach, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a while since we've done a show, at least probably 3.5 weeks or something like that.
I think our last show was in Boston. I was in Boston.
It was that week. I know it was the week that you were in Boston. And I think we might have did one more after that, but I think other than those two, we haven't done one in June yet, so it's been a while. We've been slacking.
I've picked up a second job. I now work at a gas station.
We did address that. We talked about that in the beginning episode because what Karen commented on our post today and was like, "Sully, gas station, you're my hero." So,
Zach,
I was like, "Not all heroes wear capes."
Zach kept me company the other day. He talked to me. I was just screaming about was it the NBA playoffs or the NHL? We were talking about one of the two.
Yeah, we were talking about a bunch. You had the graveyard shift at the gas station. I just came off of a brutal 11.5-hour shift at the restaurant I work at right now. So we were both in
I had my
completely over the day already. So
I had my headphones in and I was yelling like Phil Kessel does not deserve that. Phil Kessel does not deserve that.
While in the middle of breaks going, "Oh, there you go. Here's your change, sir. Thank you very much." While he's taking customers at the gas station, he's on the phone with me in his heated debate about the Stanley Cup. So you can see how seriously he's taking his job in the gas station. Well, I mean, in your defense, it's 1 a.m. People don't want to talk to anybody in the gas station at that time. So you have every right to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to yell at me, whatever, they can yell at me. I'm going to keep talking about the Stanley Cup.
I just want to mention real quick that I messed up on that saying "sir." I just want to blame Super Troopers for that because of the "yeah, sir" or "yeah, sure." Remember that part in the beginning part of the movie? Just did you say "yeah, sir" or "yeah, sure"? I said "yeah, sure, sir." Do you remember when he's interrogating him? So ever since then, I have that in my head every time I say a word like that. So, anyways, way off topic. Go ahead and know what you're saying again.
All right. So right now we're going to try and get right into this. And Meow, I want to talk about the Stanley Cup Finals. Meow. All right, sorry with the Super Troopers, but really, we're going to talk. We're going to talk a lot of NHL today, and we're going to finish it up with some over or under. We're going to name something, say whether it's overrated or underrated. I got a solid list. Zach does too. But first, NHL talk. And we're not even going to talk about the Florida Panthers' new uniforms, although that does call for discussion. But the big news out of the NHL, a lot of rumors flying around, and we're talking Vegas expansion, baby. One expansion team, it'll even everything out, and then they're talking about relocating another team possibly to Quebec City. But the expansion team that's coming into play right now, Las Vegas. What do you think, Zach?
I mean, isn't it a done deal, right? They're going to Vegas.
Yep.
So it's they said the NHL settled on Vegas. They provided, the organizers came up with $500 million, I guess. They're not going to be in the NHL this season. It's going to be for the 2007 and 2018 season. And like I was talking to you earlier, Quebec City, you said, already has an arena, and so does Las Vegas. So the T-Mobile Arena, which fits about 17,000 or 18,000 people, that's going to be home to the Las Vegas team. I'm guessing right now the rumor is that they're going to go with the Black Knights. But I think the only reason why that's the name is because the guy who bought the team is a West Point graduate. So they're thinking that he's going to name the team the Black Knights. Now, this is big for Vegas because now you got the NHL officially coming there. And now there's also the rumor that the Oakland Raiders and the NFL might be going to Las Vegas as well. So, and you got to think Las Vegas is the largest population city in the U.S. right now without a professional team. So there's potential that there's going to be a lot of money there. But my question for you is this. It's an expansion team. So this is a team that they're going to start from scratch. Do you have doubts? And I'm going to get into Gary Bettman and some of the decisions he's made in hockey over the last 10 years. Do you think that this could be disastrous for Las Vegas if they start off as an expansion with not the greatest talent in the world, and it's hard to, and we're talking Nevada hockey here, not Vegas, this is the state of Nevada. Do you think that people are going to go to this game if the team is not so good for the first few years?
Well, this is what I think, and I think Bill Simmons actually brought this point up, is that the NHL was looking into moving into Oklahoma City when they were doing their original expansion, they decided not to go into it. They missed out on the opportunity to be the first pro team in Oklahoma City. And you look at the way that OKC has embraced the Thunder, and yeah, they've had Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook.
But the Thunder were non-expansion, though. They relocated from Seattle. So it was the Sonics going to OKC. I'm just talking like a brand new team in Las Vegas. That's the one thing I'm concerned about.
Yeah, the Sonics were pretty bare bones, though. So, like, KD had spent, 1 year in Seattle? If that.
Yeah, it was like a year, 1 or 2 seasons, not even.
I don't think Russ ever played there. So they were pretty bare bones as it was. That's pretty much what you're going to be getting with these Black Knights. They're going to have – look, the NHL today with the salary cap, they're not going to be that bad, not that poorly compensated. They're going to get a lot of guys who have salary dumps that are going to be able to contribute. They're going to get a number 1 overall pick. Unfortunate thing with that, unlike basketball, a number 1 overall pick in hockey usually doesn't play right away. Now, that being said, who knows who's going to come in, but they're not getting Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews is NHL ready. Like I said, it's not going to be for this upcoming draft. It's going to be for the year after. So with that being said, who knows who will be ready. But I think this could be really good. They're going to be the first team in that market. At first, it might be tough to kind of develop a fan base. At first, they might get people where it's like, oh, what do you want to do tonight? We're out in Vegas. You want to go gambling, but pregame that with a hockey game? That might be the way it starts off. But you start to get a good fan base. And look, those people out there have the University of Las Vegas sports, and that is it. They will latch on to anything that they can call their own. And I think it's a good move to get in there before the NFL does, because I think the NFL is next.
Oh, yeah. And I definitely think if they get there first, that'll be good for them because, I think everybody knows in general sense that the NFL is the biggest money-making sport business in the U.S. And that's no question. Hockey cannot – I love hockey. You love hockey. But it can't compete with the NFL. So I think like both those teams being there in that market will generally help them out. But the one thing I think is just like a lot of NHL fans always have on their mind is just the decision-making that Gary Bettman makes on a lot of these teams. Now I'm naming like you look at the teams like Florida Panthers, and like I'm talking some of the cheapest teams value-wise in the NHL, like $240 million for the Florida Panthers, $220 million for Nashville, $200 for the Arizona Coyotes, who were basically declared for bankruptcy a few years ago. And like a lot of people have criticized Bettman for like a lot of these moves. And $500 million is a lot of money. So you got to think like I always just have this in the back of my head with him because I never know when things are going to work out. You can bring it back like a lot of the dumb decisions he's made, like moving teams, like trying to branch in it, like I guess coin the term Americanize the sport of hockey when you're like moving teams out in California and then like taking Minnesota out of taking the North Stars out of Minnesota, moving them to Dallas, which hasn't been. I can't say it's been the greatest move because Dallas obviously doesn't get a lot of fans. Though I will say this that they've been very exceptionally well like the past few years, obviously through trades and signing free agents and stuff. I'm just this whole expansion idea just kind of freaks me out a bit. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm excited. I want to see a new team. Everybody gets excited for a new team in a new market, regardless. If it's a cool market, but I'm excited about the Las Vegas one. But I am more excited about the Quebec move. I want to see another team in Quebec, and most notably, I am going to put money on it. I guarantee you, it's going to be the Quebec Nordiques. They're going to come back just like Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, I can completely see that too. Look,
their fans are traveling to random games in the NHL and rooting for the Nordiques. Like, they're not a team. They're not a team that they don't exist anymore. Like, their fans go to random hockey games across the United States and root for the Nordiques. They'll go to a Flyers and Devils game and they'll wear the Nordique jerseys because when I was working at the supermarket like 4 or 5 years ago when I was at Shaw's, and one of my buddies told me they were down at the Devils Flyers game, and these guys were out there rooting for the Nordiques like they were actually playing in the game. But they're trying to draw support and draw attention from the NHL so they can bring a team to Quebec City. And I think that's where more money is going to be. I think more fans will be passionate about it. I think they'll make – I don't know. It's Las Vegas competing with a diehard hockey city. What do you think would effectively make more money? Do you think Las Vegas or Quebec City?
I think you got to go to Quebec City if it's between the two of them. But I do honestly have faith that Gary Bettman knows what he's doing, and he's put the team in Vegas because he plans on doing both of them. I think Vegas is a really good market. I think they want to get into a market that no one is in right now. Like you said, Las Vegas is the city with the largest population without a major sports team. It will have its fan base. You're going to have to sway people over to hockey, yes. But with that being said, you've kind of seen it in Arizona. You know, the Coyotes haven't been exactly the most highly touted franchise, but they're making a splash. They're holding their own. But Quebec City is going to rake in a ton of money, and I think that's where you need to send a franchise. And now we can kind of dive into this, like Carolina that is struggling, that is not doing well financially. I think that is where you can move the team, and it will automatically. I honestly think jersey sales in Quebec City will outsell any possible Patrick Kane, Tyler Seguin, Joe Thornton, David Backes, Thomas Hertl, any major jersey that's selling like crazy right now. The top 3 jerseys in the league will be whoever the heck goes to Quebec City, because those fans are nuts. They built an arena just with the hope that they might get a team. They built a huge, gorgeous arena, and it sits.
Well, Carolina's got a big problem on their hands right now too, because Peter Carmanos, the owner of the Hurricanes, he's in a huge lawsuit with his sons right now, and the problem is, and I was reading this blog from Barstool Chief the other day. Well, this is kind of older, but I was kind of referring back to it in the news because of the whole Las Vegas idea. But I mean, it seems like apparently what I got from the blog that he had wrote that like the sons are a bunch of idiots, like they borrowed money from their dad. Seems like Carmanos isn't the greatest father either, because it looks like he has like kids on both sides with like 2 different moms. They took money from their dad, and like they're actually, I think the father set up like a trust fund for them, and then they took money from it, and now it's like not there, and then he's not paying them back, so now they're suing him for like legal reasons. And yeah, this is like unnecessary drama, but it makes sense because this is a guy that's asking for $400 million right now for a team that's worth $187 million. We're talking about a team he's asking for $213 million more. That's a lot of money when you're speaking of like, I mean, obviously from an owner's like stance, a little along the average person. So do you think like, I mean, I think this is a huge problem right now for the Hurricanes, or at least Carmanos. If he's going to get, I honestly think that the only way that Carmanos is going to get his way is if this team from Carolina goes to Quebec City. That's the only way. I don't think Quebec City will start off as an expansion. I think that the NHL is smart. They're going to try and get Carolina in this crappy situation that Carmanos is in right now and get him to Quebec City.
Yeah, I don't see a buyer in Carolina forking over any more than $187 million, whatever it's worth. Yeah, I heard about this situation too. It's like that. It's kind of left with no choice, right? He kind of just has to get rid of it for whatever he can. I don't think the Hurricanes will be in the Carolinas come 2 seasons from now. I really don't. That franchise, look, they won a couple years ago, but they traded away Eric Stahl, their marquee player. Cam Ward, they just keep paying him, even though he kind of sucks now. It's just time to go. It's time to move on.
And that really makes me sad too, because they move a team out of I mean, I was just discussing with this with you before we turned on this podcast. I'm a big fan of like some of the old logos and stuff in the NHL and some of these teams. And the Hartford Whalers, they were moved out of Hartford and went to Carolina. And the thing that sucks the most is that team, Carolina won the Hurricanes won the Stanley Cup 10 years ago. I mean, this is a team that hasn't really been terrible. I mean, they've had some decent years, but it's just, I don't know, like it's Carolina and it's hockey. That's the thing that comes down to it.
Yeah, when I was in North Carolina a couple of years ago, I found one kid who could actually talk hockey with me, and to put it bluntly, he was full of crap. Like, he was just saying buzzwords, and you could tell he wasn't really a true hockey fan. It was almost like he said he was a big hockey fan just to kind of stand out and like be different from the crowd. And you had kids down there who said they were Hurricanes fans, and they would give you crap for being a Bruins fan, but they couldn't tell you who the heck their first line was. They were kind of bandwagoners. They thought the team was good, and I don't know, but it's tough because whenever I talked to my dad, he said that the Hartford Whalers fans the games were filled with more Bruins fans than they were Whalers fans, because people didn't want to pay that much money to go see the Bruins, so they just go up to Hartford. But I know a lot of people who say they never should have left. So who knows? It's unfortunate they'll probably never get a team back, which is really sad. Also, ESPN definitely had the chance to make that like their own little thing. They could have had like ESPN Arena. Then they would have a stake, and they would actually cover hockey fairly because they'd have their own personal game for it. So the whole thing with them leaving is kind of just sad. But hey, bigger and better things. Go back to Quebec City. They deserve a team more than any other city in North America right now.
I think it would be cool too to see that. I think it would be nice to see the Quebec Nordiques get back into it, and like I think that the NHL is slowly realizing that. I mean, years ago, like I was a big advocate for getting Winnipeg back, like the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, just like a cool old hockey team that you'd want to see like around. I mean, this kind of brings up my next point too. So now I'm just looking at old teams and stuff, and we talked about how Gary Bettman's made some questionable moves. Now, I was never a big fan of the Atlanta Thrashers being down in Atlanta. One, I had this weird thing where I take things like personal about teams. I have nothing against the cities or anything like that, but the Atlanta Thrashers, I just don't really care for them. And then but the Atlanta Flames, like that old team in the 1980s, like the cool like red jerseys they had, and they moved to Calgary, and like the Calgary Flames are that's my favorite Canadian team, I can say. I do like rooting for Calgary. Only when they wear like the old looking Atlanta Flame jerseys. I hate the blacks. Like I hate those. They're just like I'm not a fan of the that like incorporating if a black color is not like incorporated in that jersey, I can't stand it. You know what I mean?
So you're down for the Bruins black jerseys because those are the main colors.
Yeah, because the Bruins wear like black originally. The LA Kings wear black originally. You know. I guess I'm like take things personal with it, but like. Anyways, not to get out like too off topic, but like I'm just looking at old teams that have moved around from the NHL, like the Atlanta Flames moving to Calgary, like the Thrashers. They evidently went to Winnipeg, and then Winnipeg, when they were a team, they moved to Arizona, which was Phoenix at the time. But you know what happened with the Phoenix Coyotes? They were basically bankrupt. I'm surprised they're still in Arizona. And then the Colorado Rockies, the hockey team, they moved to New Jersey in the early 80s. So, like, I mean, obviously this is way before, like, Bettman's time. But I don't know, man. I'm looking at some of these old teams, and it's just like you see how some of these situations, like the Florida Panthers are right now and stuff like that. Like, the Florida Panthers aren't even that bad of a hockey team, but no one goes to the games. Remember a few years ago when they were they were like a number 3 seed in the playoffs, and, like, they barely had, like, an empty arena.
This year, the stands were pretty much filled, but you could tell it's just fake fans. Look, I think that's Gary Bettman.
We understand that, you know what I mean? Like, we know they don't give a crap, but like, you know.
Yeah. Well, look, why not? Tampa Bay is a good market. Is it the best market in NHL? No, not necessarily.
But they still fill up the stadium. But Tampa Bay in their defense have been a consistently great hockey team for like most of the 2000s and 2010s. So
they should have tried to put a team in Orlando or anywhere Miami fans barely stay for basketball games. Like they're not.
I would have liked to see a team in Seattle or Portland.
Yeah, well, Seattle was a market they were exploring, but I don't really know if they could break through. Because outside of Seattle, there's a lot of hick land up there in Washington, and I don't really know if hockey appeals to those kind of people. I'm
just thinking it's close enough to Vancouver. You would think that there are at least some like big hockey fans up north. I mean, they're close to the Canadian border. Like I'm sure of that. Mostly some of them are like elite working.
You're kind of breaking up. Say something again. Zach, you there?
Yeah, so that you're breaking up a little bit. What was that for?
We might have to take a timeout here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.